I'm the director of the Division of Ecological Restoration, part of the Department of Fish and Game. Our mission is to restore and protect rivers, wetlands, and watersheds for the benefit of people and the environment. We were formed in 2009, and we've been working on river and wetland restoration ever since. So what I'm bringing to this talk today is experience as a practitioner, our collective experience as practitioners working in partnership with many others. My favorite thing to do is to start with a transformation picture. So I'm going to do two things at once, which is to share the definition of ecological restoration that we follow as a division and that many of you in this room also follow, while also showing you what happens when you do ecological restoration. And so that photo sequence was a cranberry bog in Plymouth from pre-restoration to post-restoration. And so what we know is that big picture, ecological restoration works. Given a nudge in the right direction, rivers and wetlands can heal. We can watch this happen in real time on a human scale. We've learned from this work that nature is resilient. And with ecological restoration, we have an incredible opportunity to restore and protect the biodiversity of Massachusetts. And there's many organizations across the state and here in this room that are engaged in this work together. Ecological restoration is a key part of the state's biodiversity plan. And this slide just shows you some of the types of ecological restoration practices that are called out in the state's biodiversity plan. So our division focuses on a wide range of river and wetland restoration practices. We remove aging dams, we upgrade aging and failing culverts that are undersized in order to provide passage for fish and wildlife and to be more resilient to storms. We restore coastal wetlands, we restore freshwater wetlands, and we restore former cranberry farmland, and many other activities as well. This slide just shows some of our accomplishments in 2025. And I share this just to kind of set the context that this work has been ongoing in Massachusetts for many years. And so there's a lot that we've learned, although we continue to learn with every project. We have a number of projects going on Cape Cod in partnership with many folks here in this room. And the blue squares are cranberry bog restoration projects. And then the triangles are salt marsh restoration projects. And the little green dots are projects that were completed. So ecological restoration brings many benefits, and we've heard about these throughout the day today. Everything from job creation to healthy and clean estuaries, to opportunities to bring people to nature, shellfish harvesting, food security, safer roads and bridges, getting outdoors and enjoying the respite that nature can bring. Restoration brings so many benefits. On the flip side, actually getting restoration done can be extremely challenging. And so this slide shows some of the challenges associated with river and wetland restoration projects. Everything from being a multi-step, multi-year process to dealing with engineering and technical challenges, cultural considerations, societal needs, differing interests and perspectives, working through the local political landscape and climate, trying to acquire funding, unexpected challenges. The list of challenges associated with restoration projects goes on and on and on. So on the one side, you have these incredible benefits. On the other side, getting there can be a really tricky process. And so that is what I'm going to talk about. You'll be hearing about some of this from the speakers after me in sort of a case study form. And so what I'm going to be doing is saying more kind of big picture, looking across all project types. What framework do we use to work our way through these challenges? They're going to come. We can't avoid them. We have to work through them. So how do we set ourselves up for success? And I'm going to walk through just six recommendations that we have for practitioners that are going to start a restoration project. So the first is to choose a strong restoration project manager. That's the person who coordinates the project from start to finish. They guide and track the contributions of team members. They keep the big picture in mind while also understanding and tracking every single detail. They're the person who's able to negotiate tactfully among competing interests. They're able to troubleshoot and problem solve when unexpected things happen, which is basically the norm when you're planning a restoration project. And they can advocate for the project. This person has to be able to both kind of conduct the orchestra of the restoration project, cueing all the different components to come in at the right time. They have to be able to herd the cats. They have to be able to juggle a lot of different things, kind of a jack of all trades. And they have to be able to bring people together. Next, you want to think about developing a project team. Not every project needs a large team, but most projects need a team that's composed of the project manager, the property owner, technical experts, and others who may be directly involved in the project, either because they have unique knowledge or because it's going to affect them. Not each partner needs to be involved in every step of the project, but you do need to have a core group that is able to see the project through from start to finish through the leadership of the project manager. The next thing is you need to be able to choose a skilled consultant. The vast majority of restoration projects involve engineering plans. And if they involve engineering plans, then you have to have an engineer or similar professional who can develop the plans. You want that person to have experience with the type of work you're doing, or to have done similar enough work that that experience is transferable. And most importantly, you want to feel comfortable with that person because they're the person you're going to be troubleshooting with, brainstorming, developing a project plan, and working through challenges with. Next, you want to follow a stepwise approach. And if you were in the salt marsh restoration session before this, then you saw Sarah Grady map out this process from start to finish. Every restoration project proceeds in this kind of phased manner. I put the double-headed arrows because in reality, sometimes your phases overlap with each other, or you might go back to a previous phase. But in general, you want to step through each of these phases one at a time, starting with project development, moving to engineering and design, permitting, construction, and then monitoring. Having that all planned out and organized in advance is what will help you get through the project, recognizing that you have to be adaptable and flexible as unknown things come up. Next, and we're incredibly lucky on the Cape here, you want to draw on the restoration experiences of others and form your own community of practice. Here on the Cape, we have many organizations that have led or supported river and wetland restoration projects, from dam removal to wetland restoration to cranberry bog restoration to salt marsh restoration. What that means is that when you run into challenges, there are people that you can call to get their advice and hear how they dealt with the same challenge themselves. So no one has to go through this on their own. You can develop a community of practice that you rely on for advice and guidance. And this is just a list of some of the organizations here on the Cape that have been involved in restoration. There are many others. Next, you want to think about engaging with the public and engaging with stakeholders, engaging with the community. Engaging can mean all kinds of things, everything from gaining input through official regulatory processes, to having kitchen table meetings, to getting people out in the field to get their input more directly, to communicating about the project and its goals and its results through the traditional media. There's a wide range of techniques that you can use to engage with stakeholders in the community. What you want to do is at the outset of your project, when you're mapping out your project plan, is map out what your community engagement and stakeholder engagement goals are, and then to think of what creative approaches you can use to get the input that you want, to share the information that you need to, and to build a community around your project. And this slide just shows a variety of those mechanisms in action. So that's the framework that from start to finish, I think can help a practitioner who is starting a project. So starting with making sure you have a strong project manager, developing your project team, following a stepwise approach from assessment through planning, engineering, design, permitting, and construction, thinking about community engagement the whole time. Now I want to share some resources that we have at the Division of Ecological Restoration that may be helpful for you. We have a master service agreement, which is a list of pre-qualified vendors that support our ecological restoration projects. And they support them on everything from data collection to public engagement to design and permitting. That list is available to you if you are looking for examples of qualified vendors. We also provide support for restoration projects. For example, we fund preliminary studies for tidal wetland restoration sites. This year, those preliminary studies are focused on Narragansett Bay, but in other years, they focused on other regions of the state. We provide similar preliminary design studies for dam removal projects statewide. That's another option that a community can apply for. We have a culvert replacement municipal assistance grant program for communities that are interested in upgrading undersized or failing freshwater culverts. We have a priority projects program where we select ecological restoration projects through a competitive process, assign a project manager, and then work in partnership with the applicant to guide the project through from start to finish. We have a regional restoration partnerships program. And we also have a program that helps towns assess and prioritize for replacement all of the culverts that they own. And then lastly, we offer trainings and technical assistance, particularly in culvert replacement and in the Dam Busters webinar series. So now you will be hearing from a series of restoration practitioners who will be able to give you kind of the nitty-gritty from the project perspective. Thank you.
All right, thanks. We have about 3 minutes, so about time enough for about 2 questions. Great.
Do you know when the Priority Project Program is planning on opening up applications for new projects?
I do not know exactly, but it should be in the next 6 months. If you're interested in receiving notice about our RFRs, I named a whole bunch of different grant programs. We have a sign-up sheet outside. There's a DER table, which some DER folks are staffing, and you can sign up for the newsletter where you would receive an email about those opportunities.